big news locally yesterday. We had Heisman finalists announced.
We did.
And I don't know how surprising the finalist list was to people, but the people going to the Heisman ceremony, Cam Ward, Travis Hunter, Ashton Jeanty, and your Oregon Duck quarterback, Dillon Gabriel.
Hello, Dillon Gabriel.
Now, I will let you sound off because I'm actually curious, not so much like, hey, what did you think of it? Like, obviously, it's good for Dillon.
Yeah.
I'm more curious your thoughts on what this means for Dan Lanning's program to have back-to-back Heisman finalists now. But also, I want to say, for the record, Cam Scatabo not being in the finalist and the ceremony, I don't care if he would have won. It's travesty. You cannot tell the story of college football in 2024 without Cam Scatabo. So that was a disgrace, a travesty. I don't care if they've ever had five guys there or not.
Doesn't matter.
Has to be
They
there.
definitely have, I feel like, before I had five guys.
Yeah, there's not a limit. They look and see where there is a significant break in the voting and then say, okay, there's clearly
whatever years they've had five.
I think the problem was Arizona State was too far off the radar until late in the season. And then
I mean, Heisman voters are stupid, largely.
Yes.
That's the first problem. College football voters
you have to be on the radar.
They lost 2 games
fairly early in the season.
They carried Arizona State to a college football playoff.
But hold on, to his point, what if he's right, okay? How could a 2-loss team be off the radar till late?
Yeah, we talked about this, what week was it? The week Arizona State, who did they beat?
Who covers the sport? This is ridiculous.
Might have been their win. They had a big win late in the season. I
BYU.
Remember, I think it was before the BYU game, but they beat somebody and they were doing
Kansas State?
Kansas State, I think that was it. And they were doing a pick segment on College Game Day. And this, Desmond Howard on College Game Day, they brought the game up, and Desmond Howard said, on College Game Day.
Weren't they both 7-2 or something like that?
It was an elimination game for the Big 12 championship, and Desmond Howard said live on ESPN, why are we picking this game?
Man, that's crazy.
That's one of the voices of your sport.
Yeah,
it's one of the
on one of the biggest shows of your sport.
For a lot of people, this sport has turned into the Big Ten and SEC and a smattering of other programs that have some brand recognition.
Yeah, look, first off, the reason he's not there is because voters are stupid. And there's far too many people who have a say in college football awards that don't deserve a say.
Yeah.
You can tell me that Cam Scatterbo's not going to win the Heisman. Yeah, I know he's not going to win the Heisman. Neither is Dillon Gabriel. Doesn't change the fact that it's not really cool to go to New York and to have a moment for your program, for the player, to be showcased in front of the country. It's still one of the most prestigious awards in all of sports.
It's also very personal. You bring your family.
Yes,
you get a
tell
chance
the
to
backstory.
Thank them.
Yeah. Your high school coach is there. There's just a lot of cool things that come with it. And it's a great opportunity to showcase Arizona State in the season he's had. And I couldn't agree more with you. He should be there. It's laughable that he's not. But go look at some of the finalists for the other season-ending awards, and you'd just say, people don't watch the sport, do they?
I don't think they do.
I think there's people that have AP Top 25 votes that don't watch college football.
That's crazy.
Groundbreaking news, I know, but there's actually people out there that care and follow the sport that should have a say in some of this stuff that don't watch it and don't follow it and don't cover it, and it's mind-numbingly dumb, but that's the way college football works. So, yes, he should be there. They've had more than 4 times. And it's just to showcase the story. Cam Ward deserves to be there as well. He was unbelievable this season in Miami.
Yes.
He's not going to win the award, but tell his story.
Right.
One of my favorite things on the Scatterbo note as well was that if he had gone, which he should, because he probably is going to 5th in the voting, I would imagine.
Yep.
You would have some sort of either future, current, or past Pac-12 tie to all of the finalists. Because Jeanty and Boise State, soon to be in the Pac-12.
Cam Ward
came from Pac-12.
Wazoo.
Oregon came from Pac-12. Arizona State came from Pac-12. Colorado everybody would have had some tie to, a conference that wasn't good enough to exist anymore.
Turns out, Andy, we had a great conference.
Turns out we were pretty good at football out here on the West Coast, but, way to go, chancellors and Board of Regents for turning down media deals when we should have just signed. On the Dillon Gabriel note, this is really special. I wasn't surprised that he was named a finalist primarily because of what happened on Saturday night. They just played in the Big Ten title game. I think anybody that watched that game would say probably the best player on the field was Dillon Gabriel. He was in complete control of that game. He had, 4 touchdowns, I want to say. Dynamic with his legs. He completely handled everything that Penn State threw at him.
Are their votes allowed to go all the way that deep?
It goes until Monday. So it went until which it should. You should count conference championship
that makes
games.
the Scadaboo thing even worse because
Yes.
he was an absolute monster that Iowa State couldn't
There
stop.
were a ton of people that I imagine probably put their votes in before the games this weekend, and then
Yeah.
you watch Scadaboo and you're like, oh, that guy's pretty good, huh? He kind of carried them to a playoff. Maybe we should have voted for him to get there. But I think that helped Dylan Gabriel's cause. But also, look, the reality is, and I'm not going to apologize for it, the quarterback on the best team in the country is always a Heisman finalist. Like, this is how the sport has always worked. Whether you think Gabriel deserves it over Shedeur Sanders, that's become an online debate over the last 24 hours. I don't care. It just is the way the sport works. If you're undefeated, you're a legit quarterback, and you're leading your team, and you're the number 1 team in the country, you're going to be a Heisman finalist. It's an awesome feather in the cap for Dan Lanning that he is. This one wasn't a surprise because Gabriel came in well respected and highly touted.
I don't think Nix was a surprise last year.
Last year he wasn't,
The
but that
first
was
year,
more
first
about
game
like,
it would have been.
wow, look
Yeah.
what Bo Nix turned into. Gabriel is like, yeah, this guy's a stud, and he was great at Oklahoma, and he's going to be great at Oregon. Not a surprise to anybody that he's actually going to be there, but the fact that he's had 2 different quarterbacks now that have gone to the Heisman Trophy finalists or ceremony back-to-back years, it's a really cool thing that has never happened in the history of their program.
Well, it's never happened. How many programs does that happen to in back-to-back years you have a Heisman finalist?
Yeah, with different players,
right?
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't happen very often in general. I don't I actually have 0 byline credit in my professional life in a newspaper. I kind of got one yesterday. My name's not on it. Bill Orem wrote a random just kind of observations and thoughts article yesterday, and one of them was something that I had texted him, and he asked if he could put it in the article. I've brought this up to you already, and I hate doing the segment because I don't know if you and other Duck fans view it as like, oh, you're jumping to something that's not on our radar. But I do think it's a kind of a big looming thing.
Yeah.
And that's veteran experienced quarterback last year as a Heisman finalist, veteran experienced quarterback this year, Heisman finalist. And this goes into the what will he do at that position next year stuff.
I mean, the portal's open right now. You got to figure it out.
The portal is open. There's some names that have popped up, and I don't know if there's a Dylan Gabriel to Dan Lanning. He has Dante Moore, but is he going to hand the car keys of that program and where it currently is to a redshirt sophomore? I don't know. A lot of people do think he will. He very well could. But I think it just begs the question of, it's something interesting to think about because part of the Dan Lanning story is having the 23-year-old, 24-year-old quarterback has been massive to taking this leap into this conversation for them. He's recruiting his ass off. He's got talent all over. He's mixed it with portal and recruited high school blue chip guys.
Yeah.
But getting to this level, it's massive to have those quarterbacks be at the helm of all of this and help operate what it is. You've heard him talk about Gabriel all year. He's given Gabriel compliments that I think he loves Bo Nix and what Bo Nix meant to him. He's said things about Dylan Gabriel, and he says, like, I've never had.
He did it on Saturday night.
He did. And so, like, I think it's an important story of what Oregon has. They were already good. They've leapt to great for a lot of people in these last 2 years, especially this year. And so I think it's an interesting little, like, peekaboo ahead of what are you going to do at that spot, given what you had from Dylan this year and what you got from Bo last year?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny to think of the last staff. The 2 final quarterbacks that were under Mario Cristobal were Tyler Shuck and Anthony Brown. That was the quarterback play that you had. And the first 2 for Dan Lanning have been Bo Nix, who was a Heisman finalist, and then Dylan Gabriel, who was a Heisman finalist. So he's hitting home runs so far, and nobody gave him credit when he originally signed Bo Nix. We were against that one, and boy, did we end up being wrong on the Bo Nix front. I will maintain, I think it's a completely valid question, and it's the beauty of college football. Like, you always have one eye on what's happening in front of you and one eye on what's happening in the future, because it's a sport where your off-season happens in the season. This is your free agency window right now, but yeah, you're also trying to go win a national championship. So it's a completely valid question. I will maintain, I don't think he's going to go get somebody. Might be completely wrong on that. I don't have the ability to watch Dante Moore in practice every day. But the random scuttlebutts that I hear out of Eugene is that they're incredibly high on the kid. It doesn't seem like as of right now. Now, again, this could end up being wrong as well. So old takes expose me. Will Stein's name is not showing up a lot currently with some head coaching searches. And there's been that wonder of like, hey, if he leaves, how does that look? How does that? I think there's a big benefit for having Dante Moore stick around, be in the system for a year, learn under Will Stein. If Will Stein stays for another season and just having that knowledge and the dialogue and the terminology and the understanding of the offense going into next season is going to be a really big leg up for him. And so I still maintain that I think it will be Dante Moore next year. But, hold me on that when they end up signing a guy like next Tuesday in the transfer portal.
Yeah.
Now that it's officially open. But they have not been linked yet to any of the quarterback names out there. I don't believe I've read or heard that they're taking any visits from the quarterbacks. There are some good ones that are on the market.
I don't know if there's a Gabriel, though.
I don't think that there is this year. There's some really good players, but not a guy that you look at and say, oh, unquestionably, that would be an upgrade over Dante Moore, who was the number one player or one of the top players in high school coming out of his recruiting class. So,
and that Stein offense, too, it's not to discredit anything that Nix or Gabriel did. There is an element of that offense, though, that it's like it can be simplified.
Yes.
Check down to your great running back. We're going to get the lineman in front. It's almost like a pseudo screen. Yeah, you give the guy grief if you're not a Duck fan, but largely, it works.
Yeah.
The system is very good, I think, for a lot of players to kind of ease their way in, and as they get more experience, they kind of feel more confident. Like Gabriel pushed the ball down the field. Bo last year was either checking it down or going deep. That system, I think, lends itself to quarterbacks being able to successfully guide themselves into it, even if it's their first year in it. And Stein coming back, I mean, getting players is always great. The Jimmies and the Joes. That would be maybe the biggest pickup for them is not having him leave.
I mean, I have not seen his name. There's not a lot of openings out there. He hasn't been referenced with West Virginia. I haven't seen him connected in North Carolina. I mean, there's not that many big-time openings. And so one of the things I think Lanning correctly preaches to his staff is he wants further advancement. He wants development. He wants guys to, because it looks good on him. He wants other guys to come work for him and, yeah, you go be a head coach someday. But don't just jump.
Yeah.
Don't just jump to take some random job, because if it's not in a good situation with NIL, with, TV contracts and all the other things that you need to win in modern college football, you're probably not going to succeed. So wait, if you're Will Stein and you wait 2 more years, is there an SEC job that opens up that you could go get? Is there a Big 12 job that's like, hey, that's a cream of the crop job, I want to go work there?
Oklahoma State might be looming next year.
Right, and maybe that's a place where there's a lot of money and they want to, start funneling it back in. And, hey, we're tired of Gundy. Let's go get a young offensive mind, a guy from the state of Texas. So there could be a really big job that opens up. It's smart, I think, on his part to not just jump to the next available thing. It's been really cool, though, to see Dan Lanning. One of the biggest questions that I think we had about him as a head coach was he's a defensive-minded guy. What are his offenses going to look like when he was hired? And here we are 3 years in, and he has brought Oregon back to being a fun offensive team, and he's got back-to-back quarterbacks who are Heisman finalists.
I would make the argument that he's had the best offense, that Oregon Duck fan, and I know the Chip Kelly offense, blur offense, quick offense, tempo stuff was good. I think this is a little better. Not that Chip didn't have success. I just think this version,
he has the ability to do it at the line of scrimmage
football,
too.
You know what I mean? Like Oregon's Chip Kelly stuff was just so much quick run, and they were really good at what they did. I just like this style of offense a little more. And to your point, defensive guy now with back-to-back offensive Heisman finalists. Got some college football coaching audio I want to get to.
Ooh.
One guy responding to the doubters, the haters, and another guy talking about something that's currently happening that you kind of cited.